If money is evil, then the gaming industry is hell. AAA prices have been going through the roof. Half of them have pierced the roof and went directly to the skies. The other half is already seated above the clouds, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I feel hopeless sometimes. I sometimes feel like there's no future for the gaming industry. Like we're doomed to be held captive behind the filthy bars of capitalism. But I gave it a second thought. Most of the time, we as human beings need reminders in our lives, and you can apply that to anything. When it comes to video games, it sometimes might feel like passion is dead and buried, but I'm here to inspire you to look at the bright side of things. I want to tell you that I know how you feel. Your gaming struggles seem endless. I know. Your efforts reek of meaninglessness. I know. And I'm not gonna say it'll feel good eventually, because I can't promise that. But what I can promise you is that there's no light at the end of the tunnel unless you whip out a flashlight. You need to take matters into your own hands. Ladies and gentlemen, in the midst of how expensive some of these AAA games are, there's still hope for poor motherfuckers like you and me with indie games. I'm going to share with you my reviews of 7 indie games and the reason why I liked or disliked each one of them. This is not a tier list. There's no particular order in which I've put those games, so don't have any funny ideas. And ladies and gentlemen, you need to buckle the fuck up, because it's going to get indie in here. Top-down shooters is a genre that I'm pretty unfamiliar with, but not really. My last encounter with it was a game called GTA Chinatown Wars. And it's been a long fucking time, so technically I know what I'm looking for when I'm playing a game like this. But what I know is that the normal difficulty was too much for me, that I had to down the ante a little bit. And when I did, I started having more fun. It's a fast-paced shooter, so it needs constant attention and a bit of a dopamine addiction. But as soon as you get the hang of it and equip that one broken time stopping ability, you'll find that constant retrying isn't as annoying as it was in the beginning. And you start appreciating the game's aesthetic, which is where it really shines, in my opinion. The game is about a drug addict who's being puppeteered by Anubis, the Egyptian god of the afterlife, to rectify his sins. The narrative gets confusing as it goes on, but doesn't matter, because you're not really looking for coherent storytelling with a game like this. You should be sufficed with the fact that the writing is fucking cool, and they keep coming up with lines like,
"Each floor dings like another pill hitting my bloodstream. Volume at 10, acid at 11, mescaline at 12. Each number a countdown to violence."
The game's cool. I won't put a rating. If you like it, go try it. If you're interested into games like Journey and Abzu, which I've made a video about before, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go watch it, I'll put a link, then you'll like this game. It's a 6-ish hour game, and in a technical sense, it's a platformer that does the platforming part really well, even though it's totally uncalled for. It took me by surprise how much attention is given to the smallest of details. Normally, your average platformer would need to be lengthy in order to familiarize you with every mechanic introduced, but what's special here is that it's a really short game. So you'd think it would be a challenge to pull off an engaging platformer in that way, and you'd be incentivized to not look at it through a platformer-like lens. But the thing is, you can. There is really a lot of different mechanics in this game, and that works in its favor given how short it is, and how essential they are in almost every section. Either somebody told me, or I've read it somewhere, that this game is symbolic for the 5 stages of grief. That leaves a lot of room for narrative interpretation, and that ambiguity is something I personally really appreciate. But what I like even more is how the game's artistic expression is telegraphed along the entirety of it. There's this sense of fluidity in every step you take, and I'm not talking about smooth movements, I'm talking metaphorically. In the process of bringing back colors to the world as a way of bringing life back to it. You always feel like there's something more. Like there's something you're trying to understand while you're barely holding a thought because of all the different inputs and all the different interpretations. Journey, Abzu, Gris are all about bringing back hope to a world where it's lost. But I can't help but look through the cracks. See with something other than my eyes. Come up with a mystery that relates to me and try to solve it. That personalized my experience with the game. And that's why I say, I like this game. It's a good game if you like this kind of game. Trying Norco was me getting out of my comfort zone. And I don't want to say it flopped, but it kinda did. The game started off pretty well, and it's a very creative game that presents a lot of cool ideas. But that is one of the core issues with it. It presents a lot of cool ideas, but it fails to deliver on a single one of them. It's a good contrast to Gris, because unlike Gris, which made me feel something because it's focused on what it tries to say, Norco lacks focus, and says a lot of things but never mean it. It's a well-written game with great attention to detail, but the pacing drops at a certain point, and from that point on, it keeps getting more confusing until you're only playing just to see the ending. It gets too culty at times when it makes no sense to be that way. It gets quirky at times when it doesn't feel appreciated. You get the feeling that it's building up for a climax, but it doesn't feel earned at all. And after the halfway mark, it starts to feel like they reached down in a fishbowl of events and put them in order of which came up first. It's a weird game, and not in a good way. It's no secret by now, I didn't like the game. That doesn't mean that it's bad. It's rated 9 out of 10 on Steam, so give it a try if you like games like Disco Elysium. I've been at a disagreement with third-person shooters for almost a decade. We've been fighting for longer than I can remember. And our constant altercations have amounted to one thing and one thing only. We've agreed to cut ties with each other and never see each other again. That was until I saw Ultrakill. Maybe it's a me thing, but I've been drifting away from third-person shooters for a while. I said to myself, it's probably that my tastes in video games have changed, you know, as a person, you're constantly changing and so are your interests. But I figured out later on that it's most likely because of my limited exposure to the genre. I'm here to confess today, I don't play a lot of video games, and in extension to that, I don't really play a lot of third-person shooters, but a friend of mine recommended Ultrakill and it was a blast. I was thinking what made me like this game so much, and in a general manner, the answer is that I was immersed from the beginning of the game till the end credits. So why was I immersed? The more formulaic a game is, the more boring it is for me. This is just personal preference, but in Ultrakill, I had no expectations and kinda got hit in the face with it. It's beautifully architectured, in a sense that it's chaotic. It's energetic, it's violent, but at the same time, it's creative, it's surprisingly peaceful, it's meaningful. This is going to sound like a weird comparison, but I played a game late 2025 called Dispatch, and it reminded me of it in a weird way. My biggest criticism on old interactive games was that the interactive part always felt like filler episodes in a show. Unnecessary stretches that delay the plot and are just not fun. But I like Dispatch because they fixed that in a genius way. The interactive part in the game served as a minigame of some sort with its own full-fledged exists alongside of the plot without the need for both to intersect, and both of those two pillars feel like pillars because of the setting of the game. You play as a remote dispatcher in a superhero company. Your gameplay is the job, and in your break time, the plot exists. I think that's genius. Ultrakill did something similar. You play as a robot killing demons. There isn't really a lot of thought behind that. But the game is broken down into 3 acts, and at the ending of each act, you encounter a boss fight. And as you beat him, each time you follow him as he goes through some sort of an existential crisis. It creates a plot and a timeline different from that in which the gameplay loop exists. And you as the player witness both in their own way and come up with different interpretations about the game and the characters. That's cool. I find that to be cool. I didn't know that the game had 3 chapters. I thought Act 1 was the end of it. Right before the ending of Act 1, I wasn't impressed in that way. I was like, oh, it's a cool, short indie game. But Act 2 is really when shit hits the fan. Grapple hooks, double-wielded shotguns, Hydra, chainsaws, laser guns, rocket launcher, mythical creatures. It goes on and on and on. And I'm going to stop talking now, because if I keep talking, I'll spoil the game. I like this game, go try it if you're interested. It's a good game, and tell me what you think. I know I said 7 games, and I'm to be blamed, but come on. Hey, how can you put 7 games into one video? Be pragmatic now. This was part 1 of my indie games list, or indie game list. I know what is the correct grammar on that phrase. Be sure to tell me if you played any of those games, and be sure to tell me if there is a game in mind that you would like me to try. I already have 3 games in mind for part 2 of this shit, but I'm open to suggestions. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you had fun, because I sure did. If you enjoyed this video, I'd encourage you to subscribe and press that bell to not miss any future similar content. And while you're here, drop a comment. I already said it, but tell me if you have any games in mind that you would like me to try, and tell me some constructive criticism on this video. It means a lot if you do so. Whatever, thank you very much for watching again. I'll see you in the next one.